So, guys, to get into some of my takeaways, again, I will preface this by saying this game had so many parallels, just so many similarities to the one we saw last week, that a lot of these takeaways are almost identical because there were just so many similarities. The first one I have here is that many Dolphin fans have reached a similar realization, and that realization is that the Dolphins' offense, to a painful level, is playing not to lose. There's no aggression in this offense until it is too late. Had the Dolphins' offense played as loosely as they did in the final moments for the entire game, it may have actually gone in favor of Miami. Indianapolis was not good in this game. They are a beatable team. However, the Dolphins offense elected to play a conservative, scared brand of football until it was too late. 4 of Gesicki's 5 catches came in the fourth quarter, and 70 of Devontae Parker's 77 yards also came in the fourth quarter. When they realized that they could move the ball with success, they had already dug themselves in too deep of a hole. The next takeaway I have here is that the Dolphins just frankly are not good right now. That seems obvious to say, but if the Dolphins were to win a game against any other team that isn't the Jets, it would to some degree be shocking at this point. And I'm only saying that because, people will say you lost faith or you should just be patient, but right now, the rational just thought process, their proper approach just seems to be that the Dolphins are a below average team currently. After 3 just atrocious performances and then that barely squeezing out the win against a rookie in his debut game to open the season, it just seems logical to think the Dolphins just are not going to be favorites. They're not going to be necessarily respected by the media or anything of that nature right now. And frankly, there's no solid argument against it until this team can prove us otherwise. So if you're going to be mad at how the media is treating or anything like that, the only thing we can do is hope the Dolphins turn it around because there's not many arguments that we can make currently. The next takeaway that I have here is the decision making. I mentioned it last time how it was legitimate to begin questioning it. I've actually mentioned it the past 2 times as my takeaways. Well, right now it's just looking pretty horrible. Again, very similar to one of my takeaways from weeks ago. If you look at this from a macro level, like in terms of the bigger picture, Noah Igbinoghene was once again inactive while Justin Coleman is struggling. This is last year's first round pick. Last year's. We're not talking about somebody from 2018. This is a guy who's supposed to have some sort of impact. Austin Jackson, another guy from last year, another first round pick. It's just a liability right now to have in your starting lineup. I understand the appeal of having a project player and being able to have that raw talent and develop it. But in the first round, you need to have some sort of guys who have a degree of certainty or could provide that instant impact. And it seems right now the Dolphins' decision-making was not good. Continuing on this macro level, the Dolphins traded Laramie Tunsil, and then after they traded him, he made Pro Bowls back in 2019 and in 2020 with the Texans. So initially, it seemed impossible for that massive haul that the Dolphins have got not to work in favor of Miami, but yet here we are. The Dolphins traded Minkah Fitzpatrick, who became a 2-time first-team All-Pro with the Steelers. I understand people are mad at him about the whole situation of him not wanting to be played out of position and how he handled that, but again, 2-time first-team All-Pro. That early on in his career. Then if you look at this kind of on a micro level in just terms of the decisions they make throughout the course of a game, you have Jakeem Grant. I mentioned it last time when he fumbled that play. Again, he yet again muffed a punt. I don't understand why he is on the roster. If he can't provide a massive impact on special teams and he's not really trustworthy as a receiving option, then you could give that spot to somebody else who could provide some sort of impact for this team. I mentioned before, every single receiver outside of Jalen Waddle and outside of Devontae Parker is not having an impact currently for this team. If you look at the stats, Devontae Parker and Jalen Waddle this season have 42 catches for 442 yards. Every single other receiver on the Dolphins roster has combined for 11 catches for only 62 yards. It seems like it's just a logical approach to take here. Hey, let's bring up another receiver who could actually help us offensively. And then other decisions that look kind of questionable. Jason Sanders, he was 8 of 9 on field goals behind 50 yards last year. This is a guy that we all argued was better than Justin Tucker, who who deserved a ton more respect, regarded as one of the best in the business, and he is not even given an opportunity to kick a 55-yard field goal. I will say Michael Pilardi did a great job at pinning Indianapolis within their one, but Jason Sanders should be trusted to kick anything that is under 60 yards. That is how good he is. And then the decision just overall to use the run game so sparsely and to elect to roll with Malcolm Brown out of all players as the primary running back. You saw the impressive outings that Savon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin had last year, and just completely erasing that from your memory in favor of a guy who has one 20-yard run and really nothing else to show for it this season is just completely staggering to me. Now, the last takeaway I have here, and I don't say this to say that I don't like Tua, because I know what that's going to open the door for. I still am optimistic that Tua could at least, I think what we've seen so far with Brissett being the quarterback is that the issues stem way bigger than Tua. But my takeaway here is that the Deshaun Watson to Miami situation seems more and more like an unavoidable reality. I said previously that I can't see how any team would trade for Deshaun Watson right now, but the reports insist that Miami and other teams are still interested. Having a conditional element in place could allow the Dolphins to not invest heavily in a guy with a massive question mark in his future, and now you have a situation where just about everybody is going to be under immense pressure for the Dolphins. You got the new coach here. You decimated the roster back in 2019. You tanked that season. You got all the picks you could ever want, yet it seems that we're back at square one. Chris Grier and, of course, the offensive coordinators are obviously going to be in the hottest of seats, but even Brian Flores, who seemed just about unfireable before the season, is looking to even be questionable at this point. Not to mention everything in regards to Stephen Ross. The pressure, the desperation, the fear, all of that could lead to bold decisions to stop the bleeding. And there's no bigger way to do that than by landing a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. So it seems like more and more this could be an unavoidable reality. So guys, that is how I'm going to wrap up today's episode. As always, if you'd like to follow me on Twitter, you can do so. That is at ShadySteven. You can also follow me on Twitter. That is at Via the Source. Any topics, things you'd like for me to discuss in a future episode, feel free to reach out to me on Twitter. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave a review on the Apple Podcast app. It would mean a lot. But guys, that is how I'm going to wrap up today's episode. As always, I'm Steve Amasso, and this was Via the Source.